How is the commission doing?
Oh, we're doing great. At the end of last year, as we usually do, we took stock of our actions and our activities in terms of whether or not we were effectively executing our mandate, looking at the loopholes, trying to plug the weaknesses, but also importantly, ascertaining the mood of the people vis-a-vis our mandate and finding the appropriate activities to implement in the year of 2022 so that we can continue to sustain our democracy. I think pivotal to the work of our commission is the sustenance of our democracy. So anything that impinges on our democratic values, that impinges on our constitution is of immense importance to the commission, and we do not take it lightly. Last year, a lot of our work centered on violent extremism, national cohesion, and drumming home the importance of the role of the citizenry remaining vigilant in the face of threats or the risks of violent extremism that is in the subcontinent, and it's the potential for that to, spill over into Ghana.
We'll get into that. I want to get a sense of how the Ghanaian citizenry are warming up to the NCCE these days. I know that you have quite rich and spread. Yes. Resources are an issue, and we hope that it becomes a thing of the past, though. But how are people warming up to the NCCE? Do you still get your clubs in the schools running? Do people walk to your offices to say, I want to understand this, I know that you are the experts? How is it panning out?
Of course, we still have the welcome from the citizenry. Don't forget, NCCE's reach is at the district levels.
Right.
So once we have our headquarters, our regional offices, we have our district offices across the 260 districts in Ghana.
So you're really on the ground.
So we're really on the ground. So we really feel the heartbeat of the people, and in as much as we can, we engage all facets of society at that level. So at any given point in time, there would be an NCC officer engaging a particular facet of society, and at those meetings or those engagements, it becomes very invigorating. We're able to assess the people's reactions and thoughts and moods about topical issues in Ghana. We're able also to assess their views on on things that may be peculiar to their community, or things that have, a widespread in terms of national reach.
Right.
Then again, it affords us the opportunity to assess in order to seek redress in terms of the various inequalities in the strata of society, which is one of our key mandates. So these are some of the things that we do, and NCC officers are pretty much at home wherever they go. We ensure that at that level, at the district level, officers speak the language or the prevalent language of the local people. We ensure that they live in the community, and so they are part and parcel of what goes on.
That's innovative. Now let's talk about the Coup culture that seems to have come up. We've seen Mali, we've seen Guinea, we've seen DRC. It looks like it's getting closer to us, Burkina being the latest. What is the NCC's plan?
Well, I think this falls squarely within the mandate of the NCCE. And specifically, if you look at our mandate, our functions in Article 233, one of the key functions is to create an awareness of the citizenry in order for them to understand their duties to defend the Constitution against all forms of abuse.
Right.
And this actually is to reinforce what you find in Article 3 of the Constitution that talks about the defense of the Constitution.
Right.
I think if we go back in time to our history as a people, we have been subjected to quite a number of coups ourselves. And in Article 3 of our Constitution, there was an innovative clause put in there that actually enjoins every citizen to defend the Constitution against all forms of abuse, and to take every step to reinstate the Constitution, and also to emphasize that that duty is so sacrosanct to us as a people that in exercising that duty, you're absolved from all liability.
That must be a difficult job to do.
It is difficult. Getting people to understand that it is not optional for you to decide to take action or not when it comes to defending the Constitution or reinstating it. It is obligatory. So that Article 3 has that correlation for us as a commission to constantly seek to create that awareness and evoke that sense of patriotism in fighting for our values, our democratic values. We're talking about the supremacy of the Constitution, and we're saying in this Constitution that sovereignty resides in the people, and therefore everything that anybody does must be for the interest and the well-being of the citizenry of Ghana.
At this juncture, given the scenario in the sub-region, I'll ask you what your plan is, but are you targeting, for example, the security agencies or the public in terms of this public education and sensitization? Who's your target?
Our target has always been everybody in Ghana. Once you're a citizen of Ghana, irrespective of the role you play, NCCE seeks to engage you. The engagement takes different forms, of course, depending on the particular class of people we're dealing with. So over the last 10, 12 years or so, we've had specific engagements with security agencies, and we usually go to them during what we call Constitution Week, where we engage security agencies across the country, and typically to speak to them about their role in safeguarding the Constitution, their role in sustaining democracy, so that we are turning that mindset which we had previously, where people are not happy with what goes on in a country and then the military takes over. So we're turning that mindset and understanding that first and foremost, security agencies and officers are citizens of Ghana. And by that, they are enjoined by the provisions of the Constitution as citizens to defend the Constitution against all forms of abuse, and to take steps to ensure that anybody who seeks to overthrow the Constitution, as citizens, we reinstate that Constitution. So
this will then take what shape? Conferences, workshops, seminars, house to house, door to door,
it takes
room to room.
So with the security agencies, usually we write to their headquarters or wherever they have their bases, and then we have a gathering of security agencies, and we have a conversation with them. Usually they come out and share their views as well, but typically also to understand that for security agencies to be effective, there should be confidence of the people in the security agencies themselves. There should be cordiality and friendship and trust between the security agencies and the larger citizens.
Do you see that happening now?
Well,
from where you sit,
yes, I think,
do the citizens trust the security agencies?
I think last year was a very significant year in terms of our engagement around violent extremism. I say that because we afforded the citizenry and representatives of security agencies on the same platform to share their frustrations, to share their views, and to clear the air. So in terms of violent extremism, we were educating the citizenry in understanding that security was not a one-sided effort from just the security agencies, but it also involved the role of citizens being vigilant, the role of citizens cooperating with security agencies and security personnel. And to that extent, the issue of violent extremism involves the vigilance of the citizens, knowing who and what is around you, being aware of the triggers of violent extremism, looking out for what becomes the radicalization in homes and communities, looking out for strangers who carry out acts that you consider, questionable, and reporting same to the security agencies. Security agencies, from the National Security to the Ghana Police Service to the National Intelligence Bureau, had representatives at all of these engagements we had across the 10 border regions. We did this under the support, with the support of the EU, under a project called the NOPREVSEC. It's all to do with violent extremism and the vulnerability of border regions, and
especially
border
given our porous
yes.
borders
so,
and all those ones.
Yeah, so we got the citizenry to express their misgivings, to express sometimes their frustrations and the reasons why they may trust or otherwise the security agencies. And it also afforded the security personnel to share with them and explain why certain perceptions may have formed. And I think we began to see the building of bridges. And it's something that we're continuing under in this new year.
But Madam, that's a lot of money, because you cannot have a one-day event for this. It has to be a campaign. It has to be
sustained. It has to be sustained. Undoubtedly.
Re-engineered.
Yes.
Do you have the money?
Yes.
You have the money for it.
This year, we saw an increase in our budget.
Okay.
And it therefore affords us the opportunity to continue these engagements, to sustain the activities that we embarked on last year. And I think even more so, it's critical this year, given what is going on in the sub-region, coups all around us, and for us to reinforce the messaging of we agreeing to a system of multi-party democracy and using that system of governance to seek redress when we have challenges, when we have frustrations, and not thinking that coups are the way to go. But also importantly, for us to understand that any internal drivers that engender the attraction of violent extremists does not augur well for us.
But then sometimes the people are frustrated. They're thinking on their own that the leadership, or if you like, the political class, have abandoned them. They see that, well, it is a we and them situation. They look comfortable, we don't look comfortable. And that's where the disaffection begins from. If you look at Mali, you look at Guinea, you look at Burkina Faso, these are the undertones that happen beyond the other things. How do we ensure that we don't have a situation like that? Because everybody is complaining literally now.
I think, firstly, we must agree that we don't live in a perfect world. Secondly, we must look at the occurrence of these coups, particularly post-COVID. Post-COVID saw a lot of hardship, and it persists. And so people are, reasonably expected to be frustrated. People have lost jobs, people have lost loved ones. The support systems of even families that we had, where you had breadwinners who no longer have their businesses. The realities of the hardships are real. But we must also understand as a people that we've submitted by our own volition to multi-party democracy. And that is why we must allow the systems of governance to work. I think one of the critical things we are looking at also this year is constitutional reforms. What kind of constitutional reforms do we want to see that is more responsive to the needs and aspirations of the people?
We already had one, but we failed to implement that.
Yes, we didn't have constitutional reform. We had constitutional review.
That's right.
So the reform has really not taken place. And I think this is the right time to begin a sustained conversation on that. We've had sporadic conversations about it since 2010, where we talk about it a little and then it kind of fizzles out to the next big story. At this time, NCCE wants to collaborate with relevant stakeholders and have a sustained conversation in taking a look at this report, assessing for ourselves as a nation, what do we want to see happen? How do we want to see it, and when do we want to see it happen.
Right.
So we have a lot of work ahead of us. And I think that it's important to draw the linkages between constitutional reforms and the safeguarding of our democracy.
Right.
Basic
and what's happening around us
and
as
what
well,
is happening around us, I think is very critical at this point. But most importantly, to continue to re-emphasize that we must defend our constitution. And one of the ways we must defend our constitution is actually to strengthen the constitution. And in strengthening the constitution, we think it's important to have conversations that ensure that there's more inclusion and participation of everyone when we are governing this country. The issue of, we've said it, is become almost trite, talking about the winner takes all,
Right.
the power of the executive.
Inclusion of women.
Yes, inclusion of women and other marginalized groups. Crucial to the engagements we must have, talking about, what we see in the affirmative action, whether we're ready as a nation, do we have the will to want to execute these things that we talk about all the time. And the talk has been going on for too long, and we think it's time for action. And I think the crucial thing is having the will to want to see the change carried out. So we should stop the talk and begin to walk our talk. And that involves taking concrete measures that spell out with timelines what we expect to see as a people.
Thank you very much. Grateful
Thank you
for your time this morning. Josephine Nkrumah is the chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education. And she joined me here to share their plan for the year and also to awaken our minds to what's happening around us and how we need to sustain our democracy, defend our constitution, and be good citizens while we hold the leadership accountable for some of the actions. Thank you very much indeed.